Hi guys, it's Nicole, and today I am sharing my second project that I created with the November 2021 Flavors of the Month kit. This is from the Scraproom. If you guys have followed me for a while and have watched these videos, I tend to set them up kind of the same, just works better for me, and I hope it gives you guys a good look at what to expect with these types of kits. So this one came with 2 sheets of blueberry cardstock, and then the 3 pattern papers are Family Farm Floral, Patch Plaid, and 4x4 journaling cards. And I always kind of film this process. This is pretty much, I've gone and picked up my kits, I've brought them home, and I like to go through and really take a deep dive and look at what's in them. And this just kind of helps me figure out, where do I want to go with them? Is anything standing out to me? I tend to flip the papers to the side that I think I'm more drawn to. That does tend to change once I kind of get going with stuff. But I do leave this part of the video in real time so that you can kind of get a good look at the kit. There is tons of sneak peeks that happen at the end of the month to kind of launch the next month's kits. So you can kind of get a good idea of sort of what's coming in the kits. And then sprinkled in throughout all the different design team members, they all kind of do their own sneaks and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, the end of the month tends to be my favorite time of the month because you start seeing the sneaks. So this is my second project for the month. However, this is actually the last one that I put together. And I had a hard time figuring out what I wanted to do. And the only reason is because I wasn't using a sketch, I wasn't using a formula. I was kind of just doing my own thing. And that's the only part of the process that tends to slow me down. Everything else with these kits goes super fast, because I'm not digging through my stash, I'm not looking for stuff, I'm not pulling out extra stuff. I like to issue kind of like a challenge to myself to stay with the main kit as much as possible. Sometimes I dip into the embellishment add-on or the pattern paper add-on, but it's like a personal challenge for some reason when I started working with these kits that I wanted to pull from my stash as minimally as possible. I kind of wanted to see, can you make well-balanced layouts with just what comes in the kit? Hands down, 100% yes. This has been proven to me every month throughout the last year. So that's kind of always fun. But it definitely speeds up the process to take a set of supplies, whether it's a kit like this, a kit you've put together from your stash, limiting yourself to making certain choices definitely speeds it up, especially for me. I kind of went back and forth on what I was going to use for the background. I was kind of going with layering some big strips of pattern paper with like notebook punch across the top. But I kept going back and forth on the pattern papers. I was loving them, but I was having a hard time kind of narrowing it down. Once I did, it was like boom, 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 done. So the video itself is pretty short, and it's because the layout is pretty short. I didn't do a ton of embellishing. I don't have a ton of journaling. I don't have like an interesting title. And I will say that goes into like almost like an intentional decision, and hopefully I can kind of explain this. If I have photos that I don't have like a deep story to tell, it's just kind of like not a big event, my layout will kind of mimic that, if that makes sense. Like I'm explaining this terribly. Basically, this was my son when he was 5 months old. First trip to the pumpkin patch. He's a baby. He can't ride rides, can't go down the slides. I made him touch a goat. He was not thrilled with that. And that was pretty much it. So if my story is kind of simple and my photos are pretty basic, my layout tends to reflect that, and that's just kind of what works for me. I know some people who do the complete opposite, where if they have maybe a less interesting story or maybe not the greatest photos, they will then do like a 180 and they will go above and beyond with embellishments and techniques and stuff because that's what works for their brain and their process. And that's the kind of thing that I find super interesting by watching like other people's process videos and other people talking about their process. So hopefully I kind of explained that, because I think sometimes you can look at this and you can be like, well, I didn't use a ton of the products in the kit, and 100% I didn't. But it was intentional. I went through and just picked out sort of my favorite pieces, or the ones that I was continuing to come back to. And I just made sure that those were the ones that I used. I can always go back and add something like enamel dots or maybe some sequins. In this case, I don't really think it needs it. I wanted the focus to just kind of be on these 6 photos, the little bit of journaling information, and the fact that these photos are no longer waiting to make it into an album. Now, I'm obviously behind on putting layouts away, but I'm kind of at this point waiting till I'm kind of thinking Christmas break. I'm going to do like a big session of making sure my layouts are dated and going through and putting them into albums. It just kind of makes sense for me and my brain to either do it kind of at the end of a quarter, end of a semester, end of the year, that type of thing. I'm really bad about putting them away. I don't enjoy putting them away. So it's something that I tend to put off until I can't anymore. And I kind of want to get back into doing a monthly reset with my room, but then I kind of want to do an end of year cleanup as well, of just kind of taking a few areas and like really getting them cleaned up. So yeah, back to my layout. I've talked about this before. I absolutely love journaling strips because they are quick, easy, and I can typically tuck them almost anywhere in any kind of design. And I think it just doesn't occur to me to do like a not cutting the strips apart and keep it in a chunk. I like seeing pattern paper, so I like seeing the pattern paper peeking between the lines of my journaling, so that's why I do it. And typically I will ink the edges of my journaling. It's a pain, but I think it helps it stand out from the background. Same thing with putting foam strips behind them. I think it helps them kind of stand out. So yeah, that was pretty much it for my layout with this kit. I did make sure to put the date on. None of my die cuts or stickers that was in my specific kit had anything that I could stamp the date on. So the only thing I went into my stash for was just a basic label. I have these super old ones from Simple Stories, and the orange was pretty much spot on. So I just stamped the date, tucked it along the top of my photo collage, and called it good. Again, quick, easy, kind of down and dirty, but I love the end result. And I kind of say that every time. I struggle with these kits sometimes if it's a different brand, different vibe, but in the end, I absolutely love the end result. So thank you for joining me today, and I will catch you guys later.